We just wanted to let you know that tonight's virtual hangout for Black History Month, which is focusing on counseling and yoga, it's one of our digital educational series that's being sponsored by West and Lilly and Merck. And our Food for Thought moment is brought to you by Lilly as well. So we are excited to have them as our sponsors for our education series, because without them, you know, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. So just as a few housekeeping rules, we want to make sure that you're muted, just so there's no background interference. And when we start the presentations, we will let them go through the presentation, and then we will have time for questions and answers at the end. You can certainly raise your hand. We all know how Zoom works these days, so you can raise your hand or just put any questions in the chat, and myself or Aubrey will certainly be able to answer them while the presentations are going on. And last but not least, this is going to be a recorded session. So, and then if you need to view it again or share it with someone else, it is going to be on our Her Library. So we will definitely record that and put that on the Her Library afterwards. And just as a reminder, just to let you know, sorry, I was still sharing my screen there. Sorry about that. But just to let you know, as a reminder, that we will have one last event at the end of this month. And the way that February is going by, it's going to by so quickly already. But on February 24th, we will have an Ask the Expert, and it's the potty talk. And so this is a follow-up to November's virtual hangout. If any of you were on that one, we would have Sarah Murphy and Aaron Pellegrin, our staff members, and they'll be talking with Sue Weldon, our founder, answering common questions about GI health and how it's affected by various treatments, and they'll be offering advice on how to manage this at home. So that's going to be February 24th at 1 p.m. streaming live on Facebook. And you can find all the details on our social media and our Unite for Her website. And again, to watch a recording of this episode, as well as any of the other episodes that we have, you can go to www.uniteforher.org/Her Library. And I will put that in the chat just so you can have that information should you need it. So with that being said, I am going to remove myself and I'm going to introduce Aubrey. There we go. So as I mentioned, Aubrey is one of our registered dietitians, and she is going to do our mocktail for tonight and give us a little food for thought. Thank you, Aubrey.
Of course. And thank you, Melissa. And thank you everybody for being here. I see a lot of familiar names of people I've talked to, so good to kind of see everybody hopping on tonight. I'm super excited to present to you a really fun mocktail that has a couple different parts. I feel like it makes it feel kind of fancy and elegant. So I'll talk to you about how I made all the different pieces of the puzzle that we'll put together for this mocktail. It's called the Peachy Keen mocktail. So it's a nice bright flavor. And one of the things that highlights the bright flavor is our food for thought moment today. Surprise, it's not peaches, it's actually lemons. So lemons are so healthful. And I think we think of them as just something that we're using to flavor our water or, I don't know, season the food, maybe the veggies we're cooking. But there are so many healthy properties to the lemon that we might not think about every day. As is many of our citrus fruits, lemons are going to be really high in vitamin C. So one whole lemon, if you ate the entire lemon, used it throughout the day, has about 50% of the daily value of vitamin C. Vitamin C is going to be fantastic for our immune system. So especially now in cold and flu season, as the weather, it's warm today, maybe it's going to be cold tomorrow, we want to focus on our immunity. That vitamin C is going to help support your immune function. And we know that our immune function starts in our gut. So even a lemon, if you have that, has a little bit of fiber in it too. So we're promoting that overall healthy gut with that vitamin C and that fiber. For those of us who are concerned about our kidney health, maybe if you've had any issues with kidney stones, lemons have citric acid, which can help prevent and stop any development of kidney stones. So really great to either put it in your water, season your food with it, add it to a smoothie, add it to your favorite weeknight dinner that you're having. It's a really bright flavor. So as many of us are going through active treatment, we may experience some taste changes, whether it's dulled taste or metallic taste, or things just taste a little bit off. Lemon is an acid that can help brighten up those taste buds. So it kind of gives them a little punch, gets them working a little bit, and it can really highlight your foods. The last and really cool thing I want to mention about lemons is that in the skin, there's a compound called limonoids, and those limonoids have cancer cell fighting properties. So using the zest is a great way to incorporate a lot of lemon flavor. I myself am an avid zester. I love adding zest to things, but it also is going to help with those cancer fighting properties. So it's anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, and packed with nutrition. So next time you're reaching for something to put on your food, on your meal, in a smoothie, maybe grab a lemon to brighten it up. And we'll be using a little bit of lemon in our peachy keen mocktail today. I'm also going to highlight it with a fun garnish, but let me just go off camera for a second. I'm going to change the orientation of my phone so that you can all see a little bit better with my presentation.
Love that fun fact about the lemons. That's really good to know.
All right, so here we are. You don't need to see my sink. I'll pop it up a little bit. All right, so here's my workstation. So like I said, we're gonna make this fun, peachy keen mocktail. So it's very bright. I feel like it could be good for summer, but it's also just good now. I feel like today was a warm day, but maybe there are some drearier days that don't feel as warm and comforting in the wintertime. And this drink is so fun. So first things first, we're going to put in a little bit of peach juice. So I have this peach nectar that I got from the store. I'm going to give it a good shake just in case there's any sediment in it. I think it would be really fun if you had a juicer to juice some fresh peaches to put in it as well. But you can always get it in this form in the juice in the store, or I saw at the store, I also saw cranberry peach, pineapple peach, orange peach. Everything wants to have juice with peach. So whatever juice, peach juice variation you want to use, go for it. It's a really flexible recipe. So I'm going to take 4 ounces or half a cup. I'll go ahead and measure that out. And the peach juice is such a fun color too. All right, so I've got my half a cup of peach juice. I'm going to go ahead and put it in. I have here a cocktail shaker. That's what I'm going to use. You could just mix it in a cup. I just like the fun aspect of the shake, so I'm going to do it. I have some ice in here as well. So I'm going to go ahead and pour in that peach juice. All right, so like I said, we're using our lemon. So I'm going to put in 1 ounce of fresh lemon juice. So I have a lemon here. I'm going to slice it. A fun tip, if you ever have a lemon or a lime or another citrus item and it feels kind of tough, feels really firm on the outside, it might be difficult to get the juice out. So try rolling it on the countertop first. That helps kind of loosen some of the juice in it. This was a pretty ripe lemon, so pretty soft already. And I have this fun juicer. This really helps, I've noticed, especially if you have any issues with grip or hand strength or neuropathy. It's really simple to get the juice out instead of having to squeeze. You just put it on the top and you twist. And so as you twist, the juice comes down into the bottom. So I'm going to give it a nice good twist. I try my best not to waste any of it. So I'll spin it for a little while to get the juice out. All right, so I need about 1 ounce. Let's see. Looks like I have just under 1 ounce. So I'm gonna squeeze a little bit more out of the second half. I like the lemony flavor, so I don't mind if it's a little bit extra. If you don't want as much like sharp, bright flavor, citrus flavor, you could always use a little bit less, or use something like an orange that has maybe a more innate sweet flavor to it. So I'll go ahead and pour that in. All right, perfect. So after that, I have my 2 fun additions that I prepped and made last night. And these are the things that I feel like make it kind of like fun and fancy. I have this, which just looks like a dark jar, but it is pomegranate molasses. So you can buy this at the store. I thought it would be fun to make it myself. So it is pomegranate juice, and I cooked it down over the stove on low heat. I just kept cooking it and cooking it and cooking it until it started to evaporate a little bit. I mixed it with a little bit of honey and lemon juice, and now it's a thicker consistency than when I had the pomegranate juice. And it has a nice sweet punch, but also that sour pomegranate and lemon flavor. You could also just use plain pomegranate juice if you wanted to, especially if you're like, I want to get this mocktail done. I don't have the time to make the molasses. Go ahead and just mix the juice in. For this molasses, I'm going to use 1.5 tablespoons. So I have my half tablespoon measure. I'll do 1, 2, 3. I have to count out loud or I would definitely lose track of how many spoonfuls I put in. All right, so I'll put that to the side. And then this, what I have is an herb syrup. So I mixed equal parts water and sugar. I mixed it with some fresh mint, some fresh basil, and I actually used the exterior of my lime. I just kind of tore it up into some pieces, popped it in a saucepan, and I cooked it until the sugar was totally dissolved. That's how you can make any type of simple syrup, just equal parts sweetener and water. This has a really nice herbaceous flavor, and I feel like it adds just that different fun level of elevation to the drink. So I'm gonna put in about 2 tablespoons of this. All right, we got 1 and 2. And I'm gonna go ahead and, best part, I'm gonna give it a shake. So I like to just pop the lid on. I like it to be tight because I have definitely before shaken it and it has gone flying all over my kitchen. So I like to make sure it's tight first and then give it a shake. All right, so what we're gonna do is most important part. You have to have a fun glass. So I have this cute fun glass. I actually got it as a gift from Erin, one of the other dietitians. I am going to go ahead and I'm gonna strain it. I don't necessarily want the ice in. You don't have to strain it if you do want the ice in, but I'm gonna strain it and fill up about half of my cup with this mocktail. So it's a fun, almost like I would say an apple cider color. If you can see it here, it looks almost like the color of apple cider. And just for a little fun piece of garnish, I have my lemon. I'm gonna take a peeler. I'm gonna peel a nice slice off of it. Just a long slice. It does not have to be perfect by any means. I'm gonna take it, twist it, and I'm gonna stick it on the rim. And last but not least, I'm on a little fizz and I wanna take a little bit of lightness into it. I'm gonna top it with just some plain seltzer water. So I'm gonna pour that in. If you have flavored seltzer water, you could do that as well. All right, so here, I'm gonna top it with one last thing, a little mint leaf, just because I like the little fun garnishes on top. And we have our peachy keen mocktail. So I'll take a sip. I'll let everybody know the verdict. And it is absolutely delicious. So if you're ever looking for a fun mocktail, something that is, a little bit different, it's got a couple different flavors, this peachy keen mocktail, absolutely the way to go.
That looks amazing, Aubrey. And
Thank you.
I wish I would have done that ahead of time so I could sip away through the rest of the night with that. But I hope you enjoy that, and certainly be sure to send out the recipe so that we can all do this, on our own. So thank you so much for that mocktail. And again, if anyone has any questions about the ingredients or whatever, drop it in the chat and Aubrey can certainly share that information with you, and we will be sending that out for you as well.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, good. Well, we are going to roll right along, and I am going to add Kevin Hubbard to our spotlight here. And there we go. Perfect. So let me just take a moment to introduce Kevin. This is Kevin Hubbard, and he is a licensed professional counselor in both Pennsylvania and New Jersey. He attended Temple University for both his bachelor's degree and his psychology and master's degree in counseling psychology. He has made it his career to work in communities of color that suffer many injustices, including and not limited to access to quality mental and behavioral health care. He believes that therapy is a process that promotes exploration and self-discovery. And his philosophy is that people can change when they are ready to, when they're willing to put forth the effort and the time to confront their challenges head on. By taking control of your life, one can begin to set goals and to help work through social, psychological, educational, and even occupational impairments. In treatment, Kevin utilizes a holistic approach of several therapeutic modalities, including cognitive behavioral therapy, solution-based brief therapy, EMDR, mindfulness, and ecotherapy, which is a nature-based therapy, which would be perfect for today in that great weather. Kevin's goal is to first assess the needs of the clients and then help them to become an active participant in their own healing process. Understanding our mental health conditions is half the battle. The rest is mind over matter. Please help me welcome Kevin to this presentation tonight. Thank you so much, Kevin.
All right, well, that was a welcome. I am happy to be here. After I get off of here, I'm probably gonna like run the Whole Foods or something so I can make a peachy keen, because that looked amazing. So I'm gonna jump right in here. I just want to give you all a little bit of info about me and who I am and what I do. But that introduction pretty much covered it. But I do want to give a little bit of insight about myself before we jump into talking a little bit about, counseling. I think a lot of people, when they think of counseling or when they think of therapy in general, there's like this huge stigma around it, right? It's like, oh, well, the only people that go to therapy are the people that really have problems. No, huge misconception. Regular everyday people go to therapy, right? So that's one thing I want to kind of just put out there right from the start. A little bit about me. So yes, as Melissa mentioned, I am a licensed professional counselor in Pennsylvania, as well as in New Jersey. I'm also what you would call a certified mindfulness informed professional. In that role, I kind of help folks I want to say with mindfulness, I kind of help people with realizing the best version of themselves. That's kind of how I like to work. I like to come from a strengths-based approach, really just focusing on like, what are we already doing well and how can we utilize those things to help a person work through a particular type of challenge. It could be any type of challenge. It could be social, it could be occupational, could be health related, doesn't matter, right? Ecotherapist. So that's one of my many titles, but when people hear ecotherapy, they think, okay, so like what is it? Like how does it work? I'll talk about it in a sec, but it's a very, very interesting modality that just fit with mindfulness. It fit with, helping people to kind of be out in nature. To be out in nature means, being out in a space where it's like, it's no limit to my emotions. There's no limit to how this space can hold my emotions. In doing ecotherapy, I always have like this saying, it's no such thing as bad weather, only inappropriate clothes, right? So it's a 365-day type of thing, right? You can go through it the entire year. So whether it's cold weather, hot, doesn't matter, we're out there. Some of my areas of interest: anxiety, depression, trauma, abuse, grief and loss, racial trauma, work stress, social issues, family relationship concerns, major life adjustment and transition. I think that covered a lot of things, maybe not everything, but that's pretty much what I work through when I'm working with some of my clients. So ecotherapy, let me jump into this because people are like, okay, so what is ecotherapy? So ecotherapy is a variety of practices that integrate the healing power of nature with traditional psychotherapy. This is actually one of the trails that I used in this picture, where we do our hikes. And it is also an area where I tend to stop and just reflect. So that's why I got that picture. So with ecotherapy, people ask like, okay, so what do we do? Like, are we just like walking around in the woods? That's part of it. But the other part of it is usually I'm having the actual therapy session while we're walking on a path. And it doesn't have to be like any long strenuous hike. Where I'm located, we can actually have access to the woods by literally just like walking outside. So it's a pretty nice area. It's a pretty nice setup. But being in nature, it has a lot of unspoken benefits on the body and on the brain, right? When we're in nature, we tend to be more relaxed. There's more chlorophyll around us. There's more fresh air around us, more fresh oxygen around us. So I'll talk a little bit about that maybe when we get to the environmental wellness piece. But I just want you to know that being in an office, being in four corners, being in like almost like a box, it is not that. So if you think about ecotherapy, it is like choose your own adventure. We are outside, we are moving, we are active, we are physical, right? So that's ecotherapy pretty much in a nutshell. This is where I'm located. I work out of the Black Holistic Health Collective. It is a collective of multiple different types of therapies, including massage therapy, acupuncture, mental health therapy. I'm the mindfulness guy there. Sound therapy. I'm probably missing some, but there's many different types of practitioners that work in this space. And the office that I work out is in that like first floor little window right there. But all in all, like I said, as soon as you walk outside, you're right there in the woods to be able to participate in this form of therapy. So let me actually talk about, okay, therapy in general. Because some people ask like, okay, so what do we do in therapy? Like, what do we even talk about? Well, I try to make it simple for folks. I go into this thing called the 8 dimensions of wellness. And really what the 8 dimensions of wellness is it covers all the different aspects of our life, but it also kind of incorporates like, okay, so what's the definition? What are we actually working on in that particular area? So this is just a really simplistic way to approach therapy. I usually use this for people who have never, ever been in therapy before, but it kind of covers different aspects of our life in a way that's like really simple and easy to understand so that we can kind of jump right in to addressing, okay, what type of issue do you have, right? What kind of concern are we looking at? So of course there's emotional, that's coping effectively with life, creating satisfying relationships, financial, what's your finances like, both current and future financial situations, right? Your social wellness, developing a sense of connection, belonging, your spiritual wellness, which a lot of people tend to neglect sometimes. Sometimes we have to really pay attention to, we may not be religious per se, but we can be spiritual. That's about expanding our sense of purpose and meaning in life. Our occupational, right? Our personal satisfaction and enrichment derived from our work. Do we enjoy our jobs? Are our jobs just stressing us out, right? There's of course physical health. That one's pretty self-explanatory, but that's looking at our need for physical activity, our diet, our sleep, our nutrition, just really paying attention to the body. Our intellectual wellness, another fairly neglected area. That's recognizing our creative abilities. Who knew? Like, we're not Picassos, right? But using that other side of our brain, that right side of our brain to really, flex that brain muscle, just like creativity, it can really help us to grow in ways that we didn't think were possible, right? And then of course, our environmental wellness. Again, good health by occupying pleasant, stimulating environments that support well-being. And that is one of my biggest areas that I like to focus on. What is your environment like? Are the people around you, toxic? Are the things that are around you toxic? Is your environment clean? Is it cluttered? Like, what does your work desk look like? Like I ask these kinds of questions, which might seem a little bit off-putting, but it's really important to have a good environment that influences you in a positive way. All right. So these are the 8 dimensions. And I want to go through them in a little bit more detail. So that's about being in nature, environmental wellness, being in nature, having houseplants around, decluttering your work and living space. If you're wondering what type of plant that is, it's called a bromeliad. It's one of the most oxygenating plants on the planet, and it's typically found in the Amazon. But where else it's found? Home Depot, Lowe's. So if you want to go grab one, 20 bucks, right? So really good to just have a nice, bright, vibrant environment around you, right? Emotional wellness, feel your feelings. Make sure you take time to grieve. A lot has happened in the last few years, if you haven't noticed, but we got to take some time to kind of appreciate the things that we still have, right? Focus on what you can control. Our intellectual wellness, again, about being creative, using that right side of our brain, which helps with creativity. And we don't want to limit ourselves. You know, the sky is the limit, right? But what's beyond that? Sometimes we want to keep learning. We want to keep developing, keep growing. Financial wellness, save, 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 right? That's what it's about. We don't want to obsess over money, but we want to make a plan. We want to be disciplined about it. Believe it or not, this is something that definitely affects people's mental health in some really impactful and big ways. So we have to be really mindful of how we spend our money, how we, you know, are kind of like pulled into different uses of our money and our income. So we just got to be really mindful and disciplined about it. Our social wellness, probably one of the bigger ones as well, but staying connected. You know, during the very early months of COVID, you know, I was checking on my family, I was checking on my friends, my colleagues constantly, just saying, hey, you good? You know, we don't have to stop that, right? Like, it doesn't have to be, oh, like COVID's kind of like diminishing out. Hey, check on people. We see how important it is for us to be social, right? And being separated, we see what that did to us, right? It made us a little bit, some of us very lonely, some of us got depression, some low-grade depression, some of us might have developed some anxiety, right? I say send a gift to someone you've been thinking about. It doesn't have to be any particular occasion, but it's a really good way to just make sure that you stay connected. I talked about spiritual wellness. Sometimes we have to connect or reconnect with our higher power, regardless of what that is. We don't judge here. Draw calm from quiet reflection of our thoughts through meditation. And I'm actually going to do an exercise with you all in a couple of seconds. But, you know, making sure that we have a place to really just sit with ourselves and really be mindful. Okay. Sometimes we go through the course of our day, we're not even thinking about what we're doing. We're not thinking about what we're eating. You know, I'm pretty sure you've probably all had that experience of driving in a car and you're like, how did I get here? You know, like really paying attention, right? So we just got to be mindful of that. Occupational wellness, as I said, this is about our work life. We got to keep that work-life balance, right? We got to make sure that even though we might enjoy our jobs, it has to be a balance. It can't be that we're overwhelming ourselves with just like going off and just having a bunch of fun or just like just diving deep into work and never coming up for air. So we have to make sure that it's in a balance and that it makes sense for our lifestyle. And then last but not least, our physical wellness. We have to start somewhere. You know, in terms of our physical fitness journey, you know, involving your family is a big help, especially when you're trying to get in shape or if you're trying to just be more active. Obviously, eat more fruits and vegetables regularly. I don't say that we all have to, you know, turn into vegans, but I say that take a break from meat, right? If it's advisable, right, from your PCP or your nutritionist. You know, just making sure that you take that time to really pay attention to what you're putting in so that your body can put out what it needs, okay? All right, so the 3 M's: meditation, mindfulness, manifestation. A lot of people kind of use these phrases interchangeably, but really what meditation is reflection on the past. Mindfulness is about being in the present, and manifestation is about planning or thinking about and putting your thoughts and energy towards the future. So that's kind of like how the 3 M's works. I think that this is something that people hear a lot. They hear meditation, mindfulness, meditation, like they hear it all interchanged, but just to break it down, past, present, future. That's how that works. What is mindfulness? Is making sure that we have a sense of awareness and a self-awareness more specifically, and then making sure that we know how to accept the things we can't change, right? Being able to be aware of what we can control and knowing how to gain acceptance and gain that awareness of what is it that I can have agency over in my life? What can I change? But also, what are those things I need to kind of leave alone and kind of let be, right? We have to know the difference. It's really important. All right, that brings us to our mindful moment. So I am going to do a very brief guided meditation, and this is going to take us about 5 minutes. I want you all to just kind of relax, whether you're sitting in a chair, whether you're laying down, whether you're just kind of sinking into your chair, just get as relaxed and as comfortable as you can. If you are sitting in a chair, if you want to just kind of plant your feet on the floor. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to count to 3. When I count to 3, I want you all to take a really big breath in, okay? All right. 1, 2, 3, big breath in. And exhale. Okay, regulate your breathing, let it get kind of back to its normal rhythm. I'm going to do it again. 1, 2, 3. Big breath in. And exhale. Slow, slow, slow. Just check in with your body. Notice if there's any tension or tightness in your shoulders. Let your shoulders kind of relax. Let your face relax. Kind of just let gravity do its work. We're going to do one more breath. And on this last and final count off breath, I'm going to ask that if you're comfortable, you can close your eyes. Okay. And then all you need to do following that is just to listen to the sound of my voice. 1, 2, 3. Big breath in. And exhale. You can close your eyes. And while your eyes are closed, just for a moment, I would like for you to imagine yourself walking in a forest. And as you're walking in that forest, it's a beautiful day. The sun is out. Temperature is even. There's bushes and trees on either side of you on the path. Some woodland critters, birds chirping. And you're by yourself. And as you're walking on this path, you notice just ahead of you, there's a fork in the road. And you can decide if you want to go left or you want to go right. But for the purposes of today, we're going to go to our left. And as we walk down that leftmost path, we come upon a clearing. And in that clearing, there is a tree stump. And on the tree stump, there's a box. And the box is made of wood. And as you approach that box, I want you to reach down, feel the wood grain of the box, the texture. Open the box. And what you recognize immediately is that the box is empty. So we have to place something into this box. And just for today, we're going to put into that box our fear, our hurt, our pain, our frustrations, our worries, and our traumas. Just for today. We're going to reach down and close the box. We're going to lock that box. We're going to turn away. We're going to walk away. We're going to go back to that path that we came from. And now there's only one place left to go, is to the right. So as we walk down this right path, some time has gone by. Sun is starting to set. Temperature's a little cooler. And as you walk down this path, you notice just off in the side of the road, there's another box on a tree stump. But this box is different. This box is made of metal, maybe reinforced steel. And you reach down to this box. You feel the cool, cold texture of the box. And I want you to open this box. And inside of this box, there's every good thing you could ever imagine. In this box, there's happiness, there's joy, there's wisdom, there's comfort, there's strength in this box, and above all, there's peace. And so I want you to gather these things up into your chest, hold them close to you, And I want you to continue walking on that path that you're on. As you continue walking on this path, understand that what's ahead of you is going to be long, difficult, and at times arduous. But with these things that you have with you, you have to continue to walk. You have to continue to move. You have to continue to put one foot in front of the other. So I say, just for today, we make a decision to keep walking. Keep walking. One, two, three. Take a big breath in and exhale. Thank you. That's it. All right. I hope that was peaceful for everyone. All right.
That was great, Kevin. Wow, that was really good. Thank you for that. And kind of getting back into the groove of things there. That was nice to have that, just, that time to relax and everything. I did want to ask, because we've had some questions about your presentation. One, will the slides be available to share with our audience for today? Wonderful. Yes.
I can
Perfect.
share those. Yes.
Okay, wonderful. And then also, I know you had the slide about the ecotherapy, but again, I think, like, more people are like wondering, because that's not something that we commonly hear about when we talk about counseling. If you could wrap that back up again and just kind of share a little bit more about the ecotherapy, that would be wonderful.
So ecotherapy, what we do when we go out into our sessions is we use a lot of metaphors. So something as simple as, noticing or recognizing a tree, recognizing the smells and the textures around you. It's really a mindfulness technique meant to bring people into the present quicker, but to, above all, just enjoy the experience of being in nature. So often, we go through our days, we don't really appreciate our environment. And it is just a way of slowing down, is a way of kind of just taking notice and really just being present. So when I do ecotherapy, the session can be, anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half. It's really dependent upon how the person wants to move, how they want to, use the environment, talk about the environment, and really just be, just be really. So it's a wonderful experience if you get to do it. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. That, as we were doing the mindful meditation, and you can visualize walking through, that's what I was thinking of, part of the ecotherapy, because you're talking about the texture of the box and the trees and things like that. And it just brings all of that into nature. And that's wonderful. Thank you so much. I know that our members have enjoyed it as much as I did. And so I hope that you will stay on, and so that they can ask you any more questions throughout the program, and we'll follow up at the end with you. Thank you so very much. And Kevin, you'll see that there's some questions in there. So if you want to go ahead and answer the questions in the chat, that would be great too, as I move on to our next presenter. Thank you. So next we have our very own Rana Walker. Rana is the founder and CEO of Potluck Yoga. She is an Emmy Award-winning life coach and experienced mental health therapist who also comes from a long line of healers with 25 years of creating wellness venues for others. She received her bachelor's degree in psychology from Howard University and later obtained her master's degree in counseling and psychology from Temple University. She's lectured and facilitated workshops both domestically and abroad. Rana is dedicated to total personal development, mind, body, and spirit. And as a certified yoga instructor and mindfulness teacher, she has taught students from ages 2 to 90, guiding them through the art of yoga and practicing being in the present state. She has translated her zest for life into her life's passion, helping others to reveal who they are in truth. Please join me in welcoming Rana Walker. Thank you for being here, Rana.
Sure. How are you?
Wonderful, wonderful.
Let me turn it up a little bit. So I can only see a couple of faces, but hi, how are you? So I'm here as someone who has been practicing mind, body, spirit wellness for many, many years. And I'm just here today. I'm also almost 15-year breast cancer survivor. So being in this space for me is pretty special. And it's interesting to see others go through the journey and how they are helped along the way by Unite for Her and just other treatment modalities and individuals who show up in your life who may not have been there before, but you never know who's going to join you on your journey. So just know that even though you are going through this, just you and your body, that the universe is here to support you and to bring people and opportunities and organizations like Unite for Her to support you along the way. So a big part of what I do now is mindfulness and yoga. And so today I'm just going to focus more on the yoga aspect. But one of the things I wanted to talk about is the three desires of humans. And I just wanted you to think about it for a moment. The three desires are to be seen, to be heard, and to be loved. And so I want you to think about it as you go through this journey. How can you feel more seen, feel more heard, and more loved? These are the things that make us wake up in the morning, make us say, hey, let's try again today, allows us to go through treatments that may not be fun, but that are helping us to rid our body of things that are happening that we don't desire to continue happening. So I just want you to take a moment. And if you have something to write with, if you want to write it down, just think about how can you feel more seen, more heard, and more loved. Take a moment just to think about that. Because sometimes we're in the midst of a lot of different things and we're just all over the place and we don't take a moment to just go within and to really reflect on who we are. So one of the things I just wanted to touch on is we are not this body. We are not this body. This body is housing our spirit. So we're spiritual beings having a human experience. And so understanding that, just knowing that the essence of who you are will live on in eternity, and you will always be the essence of who you are. So right now, going through this journey, just think about it. Who are you right here in this moment? How can you feel more seen, more heard, and more loved? So it's just something I want to leave with you to just think about in terms of that. And so for me, becoming a yoga teacher actually transformed my life. Yoga is the true mind-body connection. It is a time where you are most present because you're using your breath. You are using your mind to say, okay, I can be in this pose. And you're using just the spiritual aspect of breathing, holding the pose, inhaling and exhaling, and then releasing it. And so when I think about it, especially for me, I was trained in hot yoga. So for me with hot yoga, which is not something you will be doing right now, it's a place where you're doing the moves, the asanas, the poses, but you're also releasing toxins. And it's just a really good way to just let a lot of things go. So, and yoga is a practice of mindfulness. It's definitely a part of mindfulness. So in that, it has helped me to just release things and to leave things on the mat. And one of the things I've mentioned before in some of my presentations is that you may or may not know this for those of you who may practice yoga, but the body stores your emotions. So any trauma in your body is stored. And so one of the things you want to do is to move your body and to be able to find ways to release, whether that's crying, that's screaming, you decide to journal, you take a walk, or you do yoga. So in yoga, one of the things that I learned just going through training is right here in your hips, that's where you store relationships. And so if you ever wonder, I'm looking at Melissa's face, if you ever wonder why, when you're on the mat, if you've ever done yoga and all of a sudden you might be in goddess pose, and let me just show you. So let's just say you're here, right? So you turn your feet out and you're here, you're in goddess pose. So if you're in something like this, and you're tucking the pelvis under, all in here, and there are, other poses you can do, but I'm just showing you. You may say, oh my gosh, I'm tearing up. Why am I getting so emotional? And so you may start to look around the room and you see other people, and you're like, do they see me tearing up? But it's just part of the body releasing the things that we have carried with us, dragged with us, that we may want to let go of. So the last thing I'll say before I do some poses is that yoga dates back to 3,000 years ago. And it is something that anyone can do. I do it with 2-year-olds. I've done it with 90+-year-olds. And so for you going through this time, this is the time to really nurture yourself, to think about, how can I feel more seen, more heard, and more loved, right? This is your time to care for you, for others to care for you, and for you to be receptive to caring, to allowing them to care for you. And I say this especially for women, as we are natural caregivers. And a lot of times we're not at the top of the list. And so now, this is like, I'm a member of a sorority, but this is a sorority that I did not, sign up for, and neither did you. But this is the time for you to allow others to give to you. So if it's something that you find very difficult to do, please allow this time for others to care for you, because you deserve it. So let's just do a little yoga. So what I was going to say is, you would do more gentle yoga right now. And so if you are actually in a session, you decide, do I want to do yoga? Do I just want to focus on some breath work? Do I want to actually just talk it out? Because as Melissa mentioned, just in terms of my background as a therapist and as a life coach, sometimes you just need to feel heard. And so that's something else that you can think about. And sometimes it's easier to talk to a stranger than it is to talk to someone you know. So let me just show you a couple of things that you can do in your chair. And so I do this for organizations and schools and corporations. And the reason why the chair is so magical is because you're in a chair and you can do it anywhere instead of, getting on the mat. So, excuse me, let's just do some shoulder rolls. So take your shoulders up, back, and down. Good. So we're opening up the chest, right? Let's do one more. And then one of the things, we don't have to do it right now, but typically in yoga, when you're using the inhalation and the exhalation, you're using what they call the Ujjayi breath. And so you're inhaling through the nose and then exhaling through the nose. But for us today, we're just going to inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Okay? So we're going to inhale, shoulders up, and bring them down on the exhale. So now we're coming forward, and now we're opening up the upper back. Okay, good. And then come back to center. And then if this is accessible, and that's one of the things I always emphasize, listen to your body. Don't force your body past a point where you get to feeling a lot of pain. If you feel discomfort and you feel like you can do it, do it. If your body is in pain, you back away. And so one of the other things is, when you exhale, imagine that breath going to any tight places in your body, okay? So imagine your shoulders are tight, and we carry a lot of stress and tension in our necks and our shoulders. So inhale up, exhale down, okay? So inhale up, exhale down. Inhale up, exhale down. Good. All right. So one of the things is, if you are dealing with lymphedema too, you want to keep the circulation going. You want to keep the lymph in your body flowing. So one of the things you can do is rebounding. It's like a small trampoline. You may not be at that point, or you may, and that keeps your lymph going. Another thing you can do is dry skin brushing. And you start at the soles of your feet and you go all the way up, avoiding the kidney area. And that's another way to keep the lymph flowing. And you might be glad to know that it also helps to reduce the appearance of cellulite. So you might find that helpful. All right. So let's see if we can take our arms out. So arms are out, and then let's take some arm circles. And if that's uncomfortable, you can go here. So you can always modify. So listen to your body and see what works best for you, okay? And then let's reverse it. So in yoga, you always do the one thing on both sides. So if you do the right side, you have to do the left side. If you go forward, you have to go backward, okay? All right. So let's take our arm out, fingertips up. Keep a slight bend in your elbow. You don't want to lock the joint out, okay? And then take your fingers from your right hand, press gently. It's just opening up the wrist. And then flip the fingers down and press. Good. Shake it out. Okay. Extend the right hand. Press back gently with the left. Keep a slight bend. Good. And then turn them down. Same thing. Okay. Shake them out. Okay. So here's another one, eagle arms. Now this one, I think they have a different version of each. So eagle arms is the more advanced. I'm just going to show you, but we're not going to do that. The more advanced is the left goes underneath the right here, and then palms touch. And then you press up and away, right? And so that's really opening up. Now the palms have to touch when you do that. If they don't touch, you don't want to force it. So let's do this. So just cross here. This is the modification. And then lift your elbows up. Good. And then let's just focus on our breath. Let's inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. We're going to do it 2 more times. And if you're feeling tightness, remember, send that exhalation in your mind's eye. Send that breath to a tight place. So let's inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Good. Shake it out. Now, what did we do? What went underneath? We had the right underneath. So now we're going to flip it. So flip it. So then the right should be on top, or however you did it, okay? Up again, and let's breathe again. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. One more, inhale, exhale. Good. All right. I'm gonna do a little lower body, and then we'll be done. So you're here, and see if you can see. So I'm gonna move back a little bit more. So your feet are going to be on the floor, but I want you to put your heels down and toes up. So feet should be like that, okay? And then we're just going to point and flex. So point and flex. I'm going to do it so you can see it. Here we go, flex, point, okay. So just keep doing that. Good. And now take some ankle circles. So just take your feet around in a circle. Good. And then reverse it. Same thing. So these are just really easy things you can do to loosen the body up and to just incorporate the breath work into it as well. All right, now let's take our right leg over our left. Now, if that's not accessible, cross at the ankles, okay? So always give me your modification. Now, take your left hand on the outside of your right knee. Lift up, engage your core. If that is too stressful, you can stay soft. But typically you would lift up and then turn, take your hands to the back of the chair and look over your right shoulder. So listen to the body and see what's accessible. And let's focus on our breath. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. One more, inhale, exhale. Good, come back to center. Place your right foot down. Take your left leg over your right. Take your right hand on the outside of your left knee, same thing. And we're gonna lift up and we're gonna turn, move our hand to the back and look over our left shoulder. Inhale, exhale. Ready? Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Let's do 2 more rounds of breath. Inhale, exhale. Last one. Inhale, exhale. All right, let's do one standing, come back to center. Very good. And let's do one standing pose. So if you feel like you have enough energy, there may be times when you're still doing chair yoga, but you're standing up. So, and I just talked about the goddess pose earlier. So you will hold onto the back of the chair. You turn your feet out on a diagonal. Once again, and then you bend your knees, and then you tuck the pelvis under. So tilt it forward. So it's an anterior tilt. Hands are here on the chair, and then just breathe. Inhale, exhale. Let's do 2 more rounds of breath. Last one. So you hold on, or if you feel like you don't need the chair, you will bring your hands to heart center and then stand up. And let's bend one more time. Come back up, last time. Back down, back up, and shake it out. Just shake, 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 shake. So hopefully that was helpful. I would also recommend you go on YouTube or anywhere else. You can watch yoga clips that are really helpful. But I want to just leave you with, how can you be more seen, more heard, and more loved? Thank you so much.
It looks like, Melissa, you are muted if you are talking.
I was, thank you. I was saying, yes, I wanted Kevin and Rana to stay there for a minute so that, so we can, first of all, thank you for the presentations. That was fabulous, but I wanted also to give some time for our members to come off mute should they have any questions for either of you, just to, so that we can make this more of an open forum and you can ask any questions if you had anything. Thank you, Rana, for putting your information in there. And I do want to say that, of course, Kevin and Rana are 2 of our providers on our provider directory. And so using either of them would utilize one of your passport squares, for counseling or for yoga and meditation. So let's not forget that. And I will put the link to our provider directory in the chat, just in case you have any questions there. But again, just wanted to give a few moments just in case anyone wanted to say anything. Oh, let's not be shy. We know it's the end of the day, and Kevin is posting his information there as well. Well, good. Well, if there are no questions, we do thank you for being here. And the reason you're so welcome, Melissa, we wanted to, spotlight 2 of our providers of color with us today, representing Black History Month, but we know how important it is to have providers within our Unite for Her network that look like us. Sometimes we want someone who has some commonalities in there. So we wanted to be able to feature not only 2 of the providers, but 2 of the modalities that we are very, very much interested in having you use more. So in case you have any questions about any of these services, please, please, please feel free to reach out to us. Again, they have put their contact information in the chat. One Square will utilize their services, and we are just so happy to have them both with us. So Kevin and Rana, thank you so much for being with us tonight. Aubrey, thank you for being with us tonight as well with that mocktail. And Deborah, I agree. The speakers were awesome. Thank you so much. And again, if you want to contact them, feel free to do so. If you have any questions for us or anything else that you would like to see, please just let us know. We are always willing to bring you educational information as much as we can. And with that, I am going to say good night and hope you have a wonderful evening and a wonderful rest of the week. Take care, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Take care.
Good night.